Can we hire Duke to just come out and sing?
I don't have the money for Duke. Maybe you do. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Retro Fandango, episode number 241. If you're tuning in to us on the YouTubes, no intro. We just dove right into the show because the video file that... Oh, hold on a sec.
Hmm.
There we go. I had to turn off my YouTube account because I was hearing myself. What the heck were we talking about? Oh yeah, because the video file is on an external hard drive and it's not plugged into my computer right now. So there you go. That's the
Keep
story.
your stupid amiibo bashing. Well, I think I know the song by now.
You should. You've heard it enough. You've heard it at least. Let's see. When did we adopt that? Was that before or after episode 100? It was around episode 100.
It's been a while. I mean, the song has been around longer than we've been using it as an intro. So yeah, plenty of time. But usually once you start playing that, that's when I start arranging things on the desk and making myself ready.
Well, we could wait. We'll wait for you to arrange things. That's what people tune in for. They want to hear you arranging things.
I put stuff out last night in preparation because I wasn't sure if we were actually doing this.
It's been a while.
I'll send you a message to see, like, oh, is it actually today? Did you forget? Am I thinking of the wrong day?
I almost forgot.
I'll just throw stuff on the desk and we'll wait and see.
I almost forgot because I was in the kitchen making supper and Sarah's like, I thought I was gonna do that. I'm like, I don't know. She's like, don't you have a podcast today? I'm like, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
So I had to race down.
What happens when you're on vacation? Well, not vacation, but you were doing stuff.
Yeah. It did. Let's see. I have one thing that I picked up in the last month, and I have one movie that I've watched in the last month.
Well, I'll tell you something.
Okay.
You've seen more movies than I have.
Wow, you've watched none? Zero?
Well, I've been watching something, but I have watched 0 movies for July.
Well, I have been watching things as well, but yeah, the movie I tried to get to 2, but I just couldn't make it. Couldn't do it. Too crazy. Yeah, I've been going to the music concerts and I don't know what else. Just life in general. Helping my buddy out at the Northern Lights Festival Boreal thing. He has like a booth where he sells his wares, his art wares. So I was doing that one weekend, and yeah, just been busy.
Well, you had family over too, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, my sister with the kids came over. We had the outdoor fire pit, and yeah, it was really nice trip. So a couple of years ago, like the 2019, before COVID hit, we rented a cottage in southern Ontario, and it was Sarah and I, my sister and her family, and my mom, and we all split the cost for a cottage, and we stayed there for a few days. It was really nice, and we wanted to do it again, but then COVID hit, and finally, when a couple of years went by, and it's like, okay, let's try to do this again, and the prices skyrocketed, shot right up.
Is that to make up for everything they lost during COVID?
It's just like everything. Everything is just more expensive now, and we all have to accept it. Everything's expensive now. It doesn't matter what it is. Nothing has dropped in price. Everything costs more. So, yeah, it was way too cost prohibitive for us to do that again. So my mom suggested, well, why don't we just head over to hey, there's Rocket Sauce.
Hey.
There's our loyal listener / watcher. So my mom, she suggested that they come to Sudbury and visit us, and I said, yeah, let's do it. So they came here to visit, and we what did we do the first night? Oh, we found a nice little beach. It's about a 10-minute drive from our place, and we took the kids there, and they loved it. even though they complained that the beach was man-made. This is a man-made beach. I'm
Complain
like,
about
well,
that?
you can still have fun
There's,
on a beach. It's a
there's
beach,
sand and there's water. What more do
but
you
it's
want?
not natural. What does it matter?
Are they going to complain if you brought them to a pool?
No, a pool they'd be okay with. They weren't. So Chase, the older one is 11 years old, and the youngest one is she's 8. And the first suggestion was to bring them to a splash pad. And the 8-year-old was like, "Yeah, splash pad. You know, a splash pad. Maybe they don't have them in New Jersey, but it's basically just water that comes out of the ground, and
Hmm.
it splashes. You splash around in it,
Like a sprinkler?
kind of. Yeah. See, when I was a kid, back in my day, when I was a kid, the splash pad was a concrete circle, and there was a
Hmm.
spigot in the middle of the circle, and the water would shoot out and it would splash on the kids, and you'd run around in the circle, and it was just continuous water that would come out. And
Oh, okay. Just like breaking open a fire hydrant and just
kind of, yeah.
okay.
And that's all we had back in my day. Now the kids, they have like these circle things that would spray mist, and they can run through it. And
And I imagine it's not concrete anymore. It's got to be some sort of a cushioned pad with helmets and elbow guards and everything.
no, it is still concrete on the ground, so you have to be careful that when you're playing in the splash pad. But it doesn't have, like, when I mean like a circle, like when we played, it was a circle that was like a fraction of the size that the kids get today, and it had like a
Mhm.
lip on it, so there was like a curb. So falling on that and cracking your skull on that couldn't have been good times. But and then the
Ryan says
spigot,
the one that he goes to is concrete.
he goes to a splash pad. He's still
The one he goes to, the
oh, wow.
concrete one.
Wow. Uh, that's interesting. That says some things. Anyways, the 11-year-old wasn't having it. He did not want to go to a splash pad because that was for babies. You got to go somewhere
Okay.
cool. So,
Hmm.
I found this beach, and they were happy with that. Other than the fact that it was man made, it's just funny, those kids, man. Like the stuff that they like. It's a little bit of it's a smaller beach. I know that they're from the Ottawa Valley, and they go swimming in the Ottawa River, and there's big beaches there, right? Big natural beaches and that.
Okay.
And I thought that's what they would complain about, is that the beach was small. But no, it was the fact that it was man-made. That's what bothered them.
Huh. Kids say the darndest things.
Anyways, did that, and then they went the next day. They went to visit friends. So while they were gone, I set up a badminton net in the backyard, and that went over
Hmm.
like gangbusters.
Nice.
They love that. It was like you get like a 10-minute reprieve where you could sit down and talk with the adults and that, and then the kids would come, can we play badminton? I was like, didn't we just play badminton? Like, I like, when's supper going to be ready? I'll be ready in 15 minutes. Okay, cool. Let's go play badminton. I'm like, supper is going to be ready in 15 minutes. That's a long time. Like, no, it's not. You can relax for 15 minutes.
Oh, they can't play on their own. They need your supervision.
I mean, like, we were setting up at the fire pit to make hot dogs, right? Like we grill the wieners on there and that. Setting this stuff up, and the kids wanted to go get candy. They're like, "Hey, let's go get some candy." I'm like, "Guys, we're gonna have like hot dogs in like 5 minutes." They're like, but and no, just wait 5 minutes. You'll have some hot dogs in you." And I always kind of overdo it with the hot dogs, and I got like a 2-pack, like 24 hot dogs, 24 wieners or whatever.
Hmm.
And normally, like, when it's Sarah and I and some friends and that, we might make it through the one. We might. Those kids went through them in no time. And not only did they wanted buns with it. They're like, "Where are the buns?" I'm like,
Well,
"Buns?
yeah. Where's the buns?
You just eat the wiener." No, you got to have buns. I'm like,
Yeah. I'm with the kids on this.
I always just no, to have hot dogs, like a hot dog if you're like at a barbecue or something like that. Yeah, bun, but just
Mhm.
roasting wieners on the open fire. I'm
Nah,
talking
I
this
gotta
is
go with the bun.
I'm talking
It's
this
like
is
you know,
after
you go all out with the splash pad and the badminton and everything, and then you cheap out on the buns. Come on.
I I maybe you're not understanding, but this wasn't dinner. Like this was a snack after, like I'm talking 9 o'clock at night, the sun's going down, you start up the fire, then you start to roast the
Mm.
weenies, and you just have a little snack, like a little taste.
All right.
So that
I suppose. I see. I would accept it, but in my head, I'd be complaining.
so we went through those wieners, and the eldest one, he's like, do you have any more? I like, yeah, I do, but I didn't think you'd go through all that. She's like, well, let me go get the rest. I'm like, they're frozen. Well, we could put them in the microwave and thaw them. I'm like, dude, we'll find something else to eat.
See, I thought maybe you were gonna be the fun uncle that just like spoiled the kids. Whatever you want, go ahead, take it, do it. You're being kind of strict.
Dude,
Rules here.
if I let those kids run free, I would have nothing to eat, man. I went and bought these brownies. They were a little pricey, but they're very tasty. They're from
Mhm.
a grocery store in Sudbury called Smith's. That's a little more high end, and it was expensive for this slab, and it's a fudge brownie. You have a little piece, so doled it out and all that. There'd be enough for everybody to have two little pieces. I turned my back for a second. That kid ate four within like a nanosecond, and he was reaching to get back more. I'm like, dude, this is for everybody. It's not just for you. So
Mm.
you gotta put a little bit of a leash on them.
Boy, Uncle Stingy.
Yeah,
Going to Uncle Stingy's house.
I'm trying to be fair.
Now, when they come over to your house, you got a lot of playthings decorating your
They
walls and
don't
stuff.
care.
Do they?
They
They
don't
don't
care.
start pulling on your
Those
X-Men figures
kids
and your
don't.
He-Mans and all that.
I don't know about your kids, but those kids don't care about toys. They don't care about like movies or CDs or anything like that. It's all about experience. They want to go and experience things. They want to go to Science North. They want to go to the beach. They want to go karting or whatever. That's what they're into. I had those He-Man toys out. I saw the one kid. He was kind of looking at them, and he's like, "Yeah." Like they don't care. They don't care about toys at all.
Mhm.
They do care a little bit about video games. The video game thing was that went over uh, pretty well, pretty good because my sister locks them down with the video games. Right, they're still rocking the original Wii, and the 11-year-old wants a Switch now because his
Mhm.
friends all have a Switch,
Of course.
and Sarah and I were talking or whatever. I'm telling you, these kids, they pick up on everything. They got radar ears for stuff that they want to hear. So Sarah and I were talking, or I was talking to my sister or something. We were just talking about something. And
Mhm.
somehow I must have said that I have a Switch that I'm looking to get rid of
Right.
because that kid locked in on that right away. Hey, if you're looking to get rid of that Switch, I'll take it. I'll take it from you. So it turns out that he's been mowing lawns and that he's trying to save up money for this Switch, and he just had it in his head that I was going to sell him the Switch. He had $120 saved up for it, and eventually I had to talk him out of it because his mom wanted him to earn the money to go buy a Switch like a real like not have sugar Uncle Kevin to bail him out.
Right.
And two, the Switch that I have, it's like one of them handheld only switches. It's a Switch Lite. You don't hook
I
it up
thought
to
you
it.
got rid of your Switch.
I did, and then I got I got another one. But I'm looking to get rid of that one too,
Mhm.
because now I have a Steam Deck here, so I don't really need one of
Oh,
these.
fancy.
That's right. That's right. That was my big purchase during our 1 month off. Look at that screen.
Ooh, it sure is shiny.
Yeah, so I went. So during the Steam sale, they had the Switches for 15% off. The old Switches, because they have the OLED model now. So this is the
You mean the
LCD.
Steam Deck?
Oh, what did I say? Yeah, Switch.
You
No,
said Switch.
Steam Deck. Yeah, so I got the older model Steam Deck, just the 64 gig version, because all I'm looking for is to play the smaller indie games on it. I don't really like playing big AAA titles on these little machines.
Hmm.
So I played. So I've been playing some Super Blood Hockey.
Super Blood Hockey.
Super Blood Hockey. So yeah, that's like a little.
Imagine it is what it sounds like.
It is. It's like a little 2D game. I think Bill has talked about this on his podcast, but who remembers that? Uh, it's like a little 2D sprite game, and yeah, you just there's basically no rules. There's no what do you call it, offsides or anything like that. You just
No penalties of any kind.
no
Right?
no penalties. The penalties are okay. So basically, uh, your goal is to get the puck in the net, and you kind of have to, if you're in the franchise mode, you kind of have to balance your team out between skill and strength, because if you don't have any strength on your team, the other team is just gonna wipe the snot out of you. So basically, if you can get into fights in the game, right? So
Mhm.
I've never initiated a fight, at least on purpose. I don't know if you can, but the computer will initiate fights all the time. If you lose a fight, there's a couple of things that could happen. If you lose a fight, one of your players could be injured temporarily, and the other team gets a power play. Basically, they can play for 2 minutes with an extra player while your player tries to put themselves together off the side of your ice, or on the side of the ice, or your player could be killed completely, like he's
Hmm.
dead, and you got to play the rest of the game with one player down. So those are basically the penalties. If you get into a fight, you better win. So if you
Okay.
win, though, that the opposite happens to the computer, and the computer has to play shorthanded.
Cool.
So it's pretty fun. It's a fun game. The franchise mode is a little weak, but you get about 10 hours of enjoyment out of that game.
Mm. I saw the Steam sale and all those were going on. And the same as everything recently. Whenever I see it, I'm like, that's neat. Okay, I'll check my want list and stuff in a day or two. I'll look back on it. And next time I look, the sale is over. I just completely forgot about it.
Yeah.
And I realized, I didn't want to buy anything anyway.
I found this one was pretty good. I found some deals on some things. I also bought the Sony AAA title Days Gone
You bought
to
a
play.
Sony product?
The Sony AAA title on the PC.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's this guy that drives around in a motorcycle, and he's in like a zombie apocalypse future kind of world. With and it takes place in Oregon, right where the Q Dogs are. So
Nice.
and it's okay. It's one of those, like how do you say, like an Olympic sized pool that's only ankle deep. It's not a very deep game. There's not a lot of stuff to do. You're just kind of doing the same stuff over and over again in it. Like, there's different fractions that you have to fight. Is it fractions or factions? Factions
Actions.
that you have to fight, and all of them kind of fight the same. All of them are kind of the same. There's marauders and I don't know, just other guys in there.
I know if I did have to fight fractions, I would want the Q dogs on my side.
Yeah, I mean, you might get something good to eat at least. You know, Days Gone gets better the longer you play it. I don't know. I'm pretty far. I'm pretty deep into the game now. I'm at the fourth um, outpost. I know what happens to his wife, so I'm pretty far into it. I'm just kind of like, it's monotonous. It's like that. It's the kind of game that, it's like those Far Cry games or whatever. There's like a fortress that you have to break into kind of thing, and take everybody out and clear them out. But I don't know. The hordes are the best part of the game, in my humble opinion, according to Rocket Sauce. I haven't actually tackled a horde yet. Every time I try, I get slaughtered. So I thought that the game was going in a direction where it was going to tell you how to get rid of the hordes, because they were going on about these caves, and they were going to, like, you got to blow up these caves, but you had to do some missions in order to get the stuff to blow up the caves. So I was doing all that, and then the story just kind of took a different direction, different turn, and I never really got to blow up a cave or do anything with the horde yet. One cool part though was there was a camp I had to go into and take everybody out, and I took out a couple of guys, and I'm hiding in a bush, because that's what you do in all these games. You kind of crouch down into bushes and you see like what angle can I go, like what direction can I go, and all of a sudden this horde does come into the area, and the horde just starts taking out all the guys for me. I'm just watching them like wipe everybody out, and then they only went so far, and I'm like, well, there's more guys over there. So I kind of went behind where the guys were and got like the guys between the horde and myself, and then I shot an arrow at the horde, and that made them all come towards me, but they had to go through the guys first before they got to me. So I got to kill everyone in the camp doing that. I wish there was more of that stuff in the game, because that was kind of fun. But you're driving around on a motorcycle. It's okay. It's an okay game. It's not bad. It's just kind of there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looks very brown.
Yeah. Brown's a good word for it. A lot of mud. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And then I'm playing another a game on the Steam Deck, Death Road to Canada, another zombie game.
Is that another indie game?
Yeah.
Road to Canada?
Yeah. So you basically you're like this, it's kind of like the Oregon Trail slightly, but you start off in Florida and you're making your way up to Canada because zombies have completely taken over America. And
Nice.
the rumor is that, hey man, have you seen some Trump rallies? That might be true. Hey, topical. So the zombies taking over America, and there's this rumor that Canada is like the free land. The zombies haven't invaded Canada yet, so you're trying to make it to Canada, and you start with a group of 1 or 2 people, and you can pick up people along the way to a maximum of 4, and you're just driving along in this car, and you don't actually like drive, like it kind of happens in a cutscene kind of thing, where it kind of goes along and random stuff happens to your team members and that, just kind of like the Oregon Trail. But then you get to areas where it's like, okay, do you want to stop here? Because you got to pick up supplies. If you don't pick up gas or food or whatever, you're going to starve. So you have to constantly stop and pick up supplies. And then that's where the kind of sort of like a not really brawler, but like a hack and slash kind of thing. Like it's like a third person hack and slash thing, and you're just these little 2D animated characters that go around and you just fight zombies and that as you try to pick up stuff. Try not to get cornered, try not to get killed, all that stuff. I haven't made it to Canada yet. I keep dying. My team keeps dying before I get there. But the game that I'm playing now, like the round that I started now, I actually picked up a guy who looks like Jason Voorhees. I don't know if you see him.
It's a little far.
Yeah.
I checked out some images here.
And I picked up this Jason Voorhees guy. He's really strong, and you can take out the zombies really easily with his machete, but he can only carry 2 things. So I can't bring like a flashlight with me or something like that. So I have to be careful with that character not to get stuck out with the zombies in the dark. But I might make it with him. I don't know. But that's it. That's all I've been playing.
It looks good. It looks cooler than that motorcycle game you were just talking about.
Yeah. It is a lot more engaging.
It looks more fun.
I don't like the Days Gone. It's okay. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I think I've enjoyed Death Road to Canada a little more than but that's just it's just kind of like fun, like little mindless fun, on the go kind of thing versus like
Mhm.
sitting there. And I don't know, the game just it's going too long too. Like I was there was three camps, and I got all the three camps all going and all that, and it looked like the game was wrapping up, and then a fourth camp opens, and there's a lot more to do, and I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, I've
Uh,
never been one for putting a whole lot of time into one game.
I mean, I think I'm like 40 hours into it now.
Hmm.
It's a lot.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, I don't normally do that. However, if you remember last time I said I started playing that X-Men Legends game again,
Yes, yes.
I'm up to just over 31 hours now.
Nice.
Most of I'd say like the past 5 to 10 hours have just been grinding in the danger room.
Oh,
I
you
just
can
wanted to see if I can level them up as much as possible.
you can do that in the danger room. I didn't
Yep.
know that.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
Oh yeah. You collect those danger room discs. You go in there and you train and you train and you
oh,
train.
maybe I should do
Best
that.
thing is there's one danger room mission. It's like the graduation or qualifying, whatever they call it, for the fourth level. And I went into it, and danger room missions are destroy this, go survive for this long or something like that, protect somebody. This particular one, you have to protect Xavier. You have to smash a bunch of statues, and you have to defeat a certain number of enemies within a certain amount of time. And I went into it, and I was like, "Wow, this is really tough." I kept failing the mission over and over. Then I looked it up, and they said, "Well, that's actually a really good level to level up on," which it happened to me right away. Some of my characters leveled up twice within one session, like within a couple minutes. I was like, "Oh, what's going on here? Why is this happening?" You just get a whole lot of experience points in that level, that mission for some reason. So I purposely avoided completing the mission. I would just play it over and over and over again, because if you complete a danger room mission, you can still play it again, but you won't get any pickups.
Oh,
So as you're playing through it, you can get potions and energy packs, and they drop gear and stuff like that. So it makes it a lot easier to go through and just constantly rebuild your character, get those super moves, and get through it and get a lot of experience. But then I got to the point that I actually beat the level by accident. I wasn't even trying to. It was just my characters got so powerful that I just ended up doing all of the requirements without realizing. So the maximum level is 45
mhm.
for your X-Men. I'm currently right around 40, and I still have a couple of missions, like actual game missions, to go through. So I've just been grinding and grinding and grinding to get them all up.
Now, how many
But it's
characters are you grinding?
all of them.
All of them. Okay. How many
Yeah, I
characters
just
are there?
rotate. I believe there's somewhere between 12 and 15. I can't remember
Okay.
exactly how many, but I know I have them all now because I got Psylocke. She's the last one. It's kind of stinks. You get some of them really late in the game, and then you can assign all the stat points if you want to put this here and that there, and make them stronger with this move or whatever. So when you finally unlock like Psylocke, you just get, I don't know, 20, 30 points at once, and you just
Yeah. Yeah.
plug them all in.
Yeah. Well, it's better than having to grind for those 20 points.
I guess.
I mean, the game's long enough as it is, isn't it?
But it's like you don't really experience like what it's like with them from the beginning. You just start with them like kind of super powered.
I see. You want the backstory.
Whatever.
You need the whole thing.
Not really. Or maybe if you got certain, if you could choose which characters you got earlier.
Okay, yeah.
I still enjoy the game a whole lot, so I'm having fun with it.
Yeah.
And I am motivated now because I've never finished the second one. So if I finish this, I might start that up.
Well, your adventures with X-Men Legends created a whole snowball Spiral, something like that. I don't know.
Really?
So
I know you started playing it a
I
little
did.
bit.
I wanted to start playing it, so I did, but I didn't feel like pulling out the PlayStation 2 and all that. It's in the closet, like under the stairs, and I didn't feel like doing all that. So what I tried to do was I have an old i3 computer, and I've been meaning to test out a lot of the PlayStation 2 emulation.
Mhm.
Actually, I got it to work on this computer that I'm talking to you right now. This old beast. I got it PlayStation. That's when I sent out that tweet that I was playing the game. So I was playing it on this, but I wanted to play it in the living room on the couch, and I didn't feel like bringing this computer over. So I took this old i3 computer and I put it together with all spare parts and scrap parts that I have, and I built it all together, and I got all the Windows 10 on there and the PlayStation 2 emulator. Actually, I started tinkering with Linux. Started with
Mhm.
Linux because I only had 4 gigs of RAM on that computer originally, and Windows 10 alone takes up about 5-6 gigs. So I started with Linux and I started doing the PlayStation 2 stuff and that. And I got it all to work except the games themselves wouldn't run. Like I could get into the menus, like I'd get into the menus of Outrun and it'd be like all flashy and poppy and that. And then when the game itself
Mhm.
started, it would start stuttering, start chugging,
Mhm.
and running really, really bad. So after hours of trying to figure it out and all that, it turned out that my i3 computer just wasn't strong enough to emulate the PlayStation 2, because when you're emulating the entire machine, right? So even though your computer is better than a PlayStation 2, the software is trying to emulate the entire machine plus play a game on
Mhm.
top of it. So that's why you need at least an i5 computer, which is what I have right here, and that's why I was able to do it here.
Okay.
Anyways, as I'm looking up information and stuff like that about i3 computers and all that in my YouTube feed, because that's where I find a lot of information on how to do things and all that, there's these recommended videos are coming up,
Mhm.
and they start recommending what you could do with an old computer, what you can do with old computers. And what a lot of people are doing to save on e-waste and all that stuff is they're taking their old computers and they're turning them into servers or a little
Mhm.
networking. Start doing some networking in it, because you don't need a real strong computer to play video files and music files and all that. So you just take your old computer and you turn that into a network system. So if you could see behind me right there, that piece of garbage right there, you see that metal thing right there that I'm
Okay.
pointing to?
Yes.
That is my new multimedia server right there with
All
an
right.
i3 computer in it and some hard drives sticking out of it.
Mhm.
So you might have recall that our friends Josh and Derek, they have their own uh, networking servers on something called Plex.
Yes.
So I started going down that road, and it turns out that Plex needs some sort of authorization or something like that. I don't know. I couldn't get around it. I started getting into Plex, and I was trying to trying to get into with my account, and it wasn't letting me and all that. Blah 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 blah. And eventually, I started looking at other avenues. What can I do other than Plex? Because this Plex thing just does not seem working out. So I went down the Jellyfin route, and uh,
Jellyfin.
I have a Jellyfin server where I have all my music and movies and TV shows on hard drives, ready to be watched on any computer or any TV in my house. And
Nice.
that's the majority of what I spent my time with last
Okay.
time. And it was a lot of fun. It's a fun hobby. It's like I was able to take like just a bunch of old crap. Like I had like an old laptop, and I took the old hard drive out of the laptop, and I put my operating system on there, and so it has like a solid state drive to do the operating system, and then I just have all the old files on uh, on like these old hard drives and that. During the what's that called? Amazon Prime sale, I did find some NAS server stuff so that I can upgrade that stuff too. So it will have a new case going forward, so there's not all dust and everything getting into that thing. But yeah, Jellyfin server. Now, the reason why a lot of people prefer Plex over Jellyfin is that with Jellyfin, you're limited to only having a server within your own network, right? With on your router kind of thing, anything that's on the router. But there's this VPN service called NordVPN, and they just have this. You have to pay for NordVPN, but they have a free service within VPN called MeshNet. And if you get into there, if you get the MeshNet, then you can take your Jellyfin and you can put it on any computer or phone in the world. So yesterday I went over to my buddy Frank. He bought an Android TV box, and I went over to his place and I put my Jellyfin server onto his Android TV box. So now he can watch anything that's on my server through his Android TV box.
Fancy.
What do you think of that? Isn't that something?
I buy DVDs.
Well, you can't find everything on DVD.
That is true.
Right?
That is true.
So
that is neat. I mean, you're speaking Greek to me. I hear these words and I kind of have an understanding of what's going on, but then part of my brain is just like, huh?
Well, I like a good challenge, and it was a challenge to learn how to do that stuff. And like I've never had success with networking or anything like that. Every time I've tried to do something like that, it's always fallen flat on my face. I still remember trying to play back in 2001 on the computer, taking it online, trying to play Sammy Sosa's home run baseball or something like that. And I was trying to some random guy on the internet, we linked up with the servers and all that and started to try to play, and I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out, I could chat with him. I could type and chat with him, but I couldn't figure out how to, I don't know, get the actual game to work. And he was getting all pissed off at me and all that. And I'm done.
Dealing with people on the internet. Come on.
Yeah. And then I remember trying to do the FTP stuff with the old original Xbox, because you had to do that in order to get games onto the original Xbox, and that was a pain in the ass with port forwarding and all this stuff. And oh my god, it was making me mental. But this was fairly easy, doing the whole Jellyfin stuff and that. They've made it a lot more accessible. And yeah, if you got an old PC lying around and you don't know what to do with it, you might want to look into that. So now
all of that because you couldn't bring a PS2 out of your closet.
It's like that old Garfield meme. I work very hard at being lazy. But now that's
everybody.
I can listen to my music now in the gazebo, and there's a lot of advantages to it. We could start watching a show in one room, and then hey, let's go to bed. And I can even get it the Jellyfin on the Roku thing. So it's all good. It's a good time.
All luxury.
Yeah. Great time.
With your Jellyfins and your bunless hot dogs.
Yeah.
You're living the life.
That sounds like a title to me. Jellyfins and bunless hot dogs. I'm writing it down. Well, what about you? You've been setting up any servers or anything like that?
Yeah, sure. I set up a Towering Inferno server. Remember I was talking about this?
Yeah. I've never seen that.
I watched it. Have you ever seen the Poseidon Adventure?
Yes.
I think I like this more than the Poseidon Adventure.
Really? All right.
Yeah. I'd have to sit them, compare them both again. But I at least enjoyed it as much. I thought it was a hoot and a half.
That's a lot of hoots.
Yeah,
All right,
and I
I gotta
like
write
they
this
do
down.
this on the back of the Blu-ray here. They give you all the characters, and they don't tell you their name. They tell you their profession or their role.
Oh,
And I
that's
really
cool.
like when they do this.
That's like Gilligan's
So
Island, right? You either had a
yeah,
name or
yeah,
you
yeah,
were you
yeah.
were you were either this you were a professor or a skipper or a millionaire.
Right. So they have the fire chief, the architect, the builder, the son-in-law, the widow, the security man, stuff like that. I like that.
Nice.
Sounds cool. I very much enjoyed this, and there were quite a few shocks and like, oh, I didn't know that was gonna happen. Very fun. I also watched. You ever heard of this one? Another '70s movie, Vanishing Point.
Yes, you got it on Blu-ray. I've been looking for the
Got it on
Blu-ray forever.
Blu-ray.
You,
Yep.
I
I
want to
kind of
call you
had this in the
names.
back of my. I had this in the back of my head. I was like, I want to see that movie. It was mentioned a lot in what's that movie? The Tarantino movie, Death Proof. Could watch
Was
that
it?
one, and
Oh, okay.
they
Yeah,
referenced this movie a bit in there. I was like, I've never seen that. I don't know what movie that is. So I just had it in my head. I think I looked it up online. It was expensive or something.
that's
Was
why it's
out
expensive. That damn
out
Tarantino.
was
Yeah.
out in the store, and then oh, there it was. Like, oh, why not? That was a good one too. Enjoyed it.
I actually had to pick that up on DVD.
Hmm.
Ugh, on DVD at a record show. A guy had it on a record show, and there's
Hmm.
another movie called Vantage Point.
Vantage Point. I
It's
think I've seen that around, but I don't know what
yeah.
that is.
I don't know what it is either. I think it's like a mid 2000s movie or whatever, but it's one of those movies that every time I see the spine,
Ah,
I'm just like,
okay.
Vantage Point. Oh, it's that Vantage Point again. Damn.
They love to trick you.
Anyways, yeah, that movie's cool. It's just the guy driving a Dodge Charger in the desert. I won't tell you what happens at the end. Now, is that the one with Cleavon Little is on the radio?
Cleavon Little as the
Yeah,
radio guy, yeah.
and the lead guy is Barry something. Barry,
Yeah, I forgot his name.
yeah,
Barry Newman.
Barry Newman. Barry Newman. Anyways, yeah, that's a good movie. Maybe I should download that.
Super
See if
Soul. That was Cleavon Little's
right.
DJ name. Now, you have it on DVD. I'm guessing you have the North American cut.
I didn't know there was more than one cut.
Well, that's what I found out in watching this. Apparently, the European cut has one extra scene that kind of I didn't really notice it watching the movie. I saw that as a trivia after I watched it. They said there's an extra scene in the UK version that explains a little bit more about why he makes his decision towards the end.
Okay.
So all I know is that there's another cut that has another scene.
Why did they cut it out of the North American? Don't know.
Pacing,
Yeah.
timing, I don't
Because
know.
it is one of those vague endings.
It's a somewhat vague ending, yeah, but that was the '70s, man.
Yeah.
Can't make movies like that anymore.
Well, you can. It just won't do anything.
Nobody will watch it.
Nobody will
Yeah,
watch it.
they're harder to. Do. Oh, I did. Speaking of '70s movies, I did go see Soylent Green in the theater.
Oh, nice.
That was fun. That I really enjoyed as well.
Was that your S on the not so special podcast challenge?
I believe it's become my new S. I had so many S titles, but
Right. Well, that's got to be the
the
most points, right? Going.
theater gets you the most
Yeah.
points. The Holdovers is actually playing now at that theater. Um, I don't think I'll get any extra points, but I still might go see it because I wanted to.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I like it.
Yeah. Now you were doing a little Star Trek marathon. You were going through your next gen. Have you
Still am.
continued with that?
I
Where are you up to
still
now?
we are I guess in the first quarter of season 4 now. So
Okay.
where did I leave you off? Was I just starting season 2 or
I'm not sure. I don't quite remember. I don't know if you really mentioned a lot about season two because I don't remember a lot of Pulaski talk.
yeah,
You
okay.
said I know you had finished season one, and you said it. You don't understand why people are so down on it.
Oh, I do
Because
understand why people are down on it and
or rather you didn't think it was as bad as people
no,
make it
it's
out to be.
definitely not as bad. But as I keep watching the extras on and the extras in season 2 just kind of reinforce this is that the cast, the next generation cast, they hate season 1 and season 2. They are very down
Mm,
on it. Every interview they are in, it's like how much season 1 and season 2 suck.
mm,
And I think that just kind of spread into the fans. The fans just pick up on that. And it's like, yeah, season 1 and season 2 suck. But if you actually watch it, they're not that bad.
mhm.
Absolutely, season 1 has some horrible episodes in it. It's just they're cringe episodes. But the season overall is not bad. Like you still have a lot of the chemistry there that the characters had. A lot of good writing still in that first season. The second season does get better in some ways and a little backwards in other ways. Mostly better by finding a place for Worf, which was given
Mhm.
Tasha Yar dies. He's a security guy. It makes so much more sense, and he's a much better character than Tasha Yar. Is more interesting. And then Jordy gets to be the chief engineer, which makes way more sense. I know Gene
Yeah.
Roddenberry wanted the blind pilot, but he never, in that first season, he never really seemed to have a place. Oh, we're
Mm.
talking about Star Trek, Dean. So
Hey,
you've,
Dean.
you've entered at the right spot.
Dean and Ryan, they can get together in the comments and just
Yeah,
roll their eyes.
check out for a bit. But yeah, season 2 has
Mm.
those gains, and then of course you lose Dr. Crusher, who for Dr. Pulowski, who she's never really part of the main cast. I forgot this. She's always just a special guest appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's never really brought in. She's really the first few episodes of the season, they're really heavy on her, trying to get her into the
Hmm.
cast, and then she kind of gets written in less and less and less, and she's less confrontational. Um, I was never really a fan of Dr. Pulowski in the past. I've always been kind of down on her. I didn't like how they tried to make her like that Dr. McCoy kind of
Hmm.
character that you know uh, balance that Kirk needed on the original series because there was Spock's logic, and that needed to be counterbalanced with uh, emotional responses and stuff, and ethical things. Not everything could be done
Hmm.
by logic, and so that's why Kirk, Spock, and McCoy all made like a great trio. And it didn't need it in the next generation. So Dr. Pulowski really didn't fit in.
Right.
But rewatching it this time, she wasn't really that bad. She wasn't that much of an intrusion. Honestly, if she
Yeah.
kept stayed on with the series, it would have been fine. Um,
I never found her to be bad. Uh,
no,
I mean, to be honest, it's not like Dr. Crusher was, this pivotal character. She's arguably the weakest of the main cast. They don't really do that much with her. Um, it was always just odd to me because I didn't know the behind the scenes of why they would switch her out for one season, and then you learn it was,
yeah,
behind the scenes, producers don't like each other, people don't get along, whatever.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and that whole behind the scenes stuff definitely plays into, I think, the main cast not liking the first and second season, because those bad
Mhm.
memories of the writing changes and uh arguing over what direction to go and all that stuff. I think that kind of sticks in their craw a bit when they think back to those
Well,
seasons.
yeah, they're thinking about the entire experience more than the finished product.
Right, exactly. The only member of the cast, though, that I don't know if I mentioned this the last time, but Will Wheaton did speak up, and at one point they were having like this conference kind of thing, and Will Wheaton spoke up, and he's kind of said, I've actually watched season 1, and it's not that bad. He kind of like, yeah. So I don't know, maybe if that cast would actually watch the episodes, they might appreciate them a little
It's
bit
like
more.
everything else. If enough opinion gets out there, yeah, it's like you said, people pick up on it and they
Yeah.
just kind of adopt it without really. It's instant
I mean,
opinion, So
I was doing it myself. Like people would start watching Next Generation, like, the show isn't really that good. I'm like, well, just wait to get to season 3. Season 1, season 2 aren't that great. But honestly, season 3, they do get more into a groove kind of thing, better idea what the characters are, and they start exploring a little bit more with the characters and all that stuff. But honestly, season 3 has some stinkers in it as well. It's not as completely strong. Like it's not like as if every episode's a banger. There are some fantastic episodes in season 3, but there are some weak episodes too. So I found it to be just as up and down as maybe not as much, but there's still some low points in season 3. I do like I forget that that Wesley Crusher, he grows up really fast. Like he grows up,
yeah,
yeah, like he was
between seasons, yes.
he was a nobody, the acting ensign to ensign in like no time. Like it's really kind of I just remember it being forever. Like he was acting ensign Wesley Crusher, but it really isn't that many episodes. It's like about a season and a half before he's commissioned to be an ensign, because they had to do something, because they keep talking about him going to Starfleet Academy, but he's not ready to leave the show yet. So they had to keep coming up with some excuses to keep him around. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm about 4 or 5 episodes, I guess, now into season 4. Of course, that season 3 ender with the Best of Both Worlds was still excellent, holds up, good stuff. It's just a good action couple episodes. There's not a lot of character building or anything like that, other than Picard, who goes through all that Borg stuff. Like I forgot about the whole close up when, while they're putting the pin inside of his head, turning him into a Borg, and you see the little tear come out of his eye and all that. I was like, wow, that's but apparently, like Michael Piller, who wrote that episode, he was like the showrunner that took over for what's his name? I can't remember. The original guy. Yeah, he wrote that Best of Both Worlds, and he only wanted to do 1 season in the Next Generation. He wanted to move on, so he kind of wrote that, and he's like, I'll just leave the ending to somebody else, kind of thing. And apparently,
oh really?
Yeah, and then apparently they're like, actually, I guess they just threw a boatload of money his way to get him to do another season, and so then he had to come up with an ending for Best of Both Worlds, and that's where he came up with I don't know if I should spoil it. I know it's like a decades old episode.
Are you going
of
to
a TV
spoil
show.
it for Ryan and Dean?
Yeah, I guess they don't care. Anyways, well,
Sleep potato.
yeah, when he comes up with the idea that he'll put them all to sleep. He claims that while he was writing it, the characters came up with that idea and that. But writers are funny. Like, come on, dude, you came up with that. That's your thing. You can take some credit for that.
You kind of get into the mindset of what would they do.
Yeah, but excellent stuff. And then, but the real banger, I think, is that episode that follows that 2-parter with all the action and all that. And I remember even as a kid, how that kind of was, I don't want to say shocking, but it was surprising, because you're so become accustomed to in television at the with episodic television shows. At the end of the show, the characters are fine and they move on. And I
Yeah.
remember that being like the first, like, oh wow, he's actually carrying over a lot of the trauma that he went through into
Hmm.
the next episode. And that family episode where he goes back to Earth and he's reconnects with his brother, and that
Hmm.
entire episode, well, almost the entire episode takes place on Earth.
Yeah.
There's no space exploration in that. The B story in that is Worf reconnecting with his uh, Earth parents, and that
Oh,
was
is
kind of,
that's when his parents come on and he's
yeah.
like, I have all the schematics at home.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
the B story. So that takes place on the Enterprise, which is in orbit as it's being repaired. But yeah, that story too kind of carries over Worf's trauma as well, because he was earlier on in the season, or at the previous season, he was what's that, Dishonored, where everyone turned their back on him, and
Yeah.
that's why his parents wanted to visit him, because they were like concerned about him being dishonored and all that. So he's carrying over that. So yeah, that was, really good writing on their part.
That's a really good episode, and
Yeah,
it's the first time you get to see a vulnerable Picard, and they set it up in a way where
yeah,
it makes sense. He can't do that on the ship, you know.
yeah. And then I think the next episode was the one where Dr. Crusher's on the Enterprise, and Wesley does some sort of science experiment with the warp fields, and he accidentally zaps her, so she's in like her own dimension, and the dimension shrinking, like everybody keeps disappearing on the ship, right? She couldn't
Hmm.
find her old friend and all that. And that episode was okay. And then the next episode after that was the one where Tasha Yar's sister comes back. I don't know. They get they have to go to Tasha Yar's, the planet that she was born on, and she had all that traumatic stuff happen to her, the rape gangs and all that stuff. And
Hmm.
they meet up with her sister, and it's kind of it's okay. But the actress that plays her sister, they put her in like this super tight suit, like you could see
Hmm.
everything. You even like what religion she is with this suit. It is something else. So you go from like this. This is my point with the later seasons, or all the seasons of Star Trek. You do go like there is some great stuff, but then there is like some trash episodes on there. So you know, not as I don't know. It seems to be a little more. It seems to be consistent. The ups and downs seem to be consistent for all the
Hmm.
seasons. And that's it. That's all I've been doing.
Yeah.
Watching Star
Well,
Trek,
well,
making servers.
speaking of Star Trek, The
Yeah.
Next Generation, and speaking of, it's not as bad as people say.
Uh
I did a
oh.
little marathon of my own.
Not the movies, not the films. Oh, you
Ding.
did. So
I
you
watched
watched
them all.
the Next Generation films.
Generations, First Contact, Insurrection, and Nemesis. That's right.
Okay.
And they are as bad as
Thank you.
people
Okay,
say.
good. Phew, I thought we were gonna have to have a talk.
No, Generations may actually be the worst.
Yes, I
It's
agree.
been a while since I've seen that one,
Wait,
and
Nemesis has got to be worse than Generations.
Nemesis is pretty bad. That one I haven't seen since it came out. I saw it in the theater.
Me too.
Um,
I saw it with Bill actually.
really.
Yeah, and he got mad at me because I didn't like it, and he's still mad at me because I don't like it.
Yeah, Generations, structurally, it's just it takes forever to get going.
Mm,
And then once it's going, Picard doesn't really do anything for a while.
hmm
He's just pining over, well, his family album and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
So,
So it's like you're with the Kirk story, and then you're getting Worf's promotion, and then you're getting Picard's upset about something, but we don't know what yet. And it's not until like 30 minutes in that things actually start moving. And then of course it's just the whole silliness of you got to go get Kirk, and you got to go back in time to this point. The whole thing about the space ribbon and all that. Cool shot though. That one shot where Malcolm McDowell is silhouetted against
Yeah.
the Nexus coming.
Yeah.
Very cool shot.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Did
yeah.
you pick up on the Klingon bird of prey that explodes in
Oh,
Next
it's the
Generation?
same as
It's the same
the
as Star Trek 6.
yeah.
It's pretty sad.
I guess that's the only reason that they brought the Klingons into it, because like, well, we got this shot.
Yeah,
It
I don't
looks
know.
cool.
Yeah.
Who are we gonna have help Malcolm McDowell out? The, the
I
Dursa
got
sisters? Sure. All right.
I sorry, I forgot to say this. The thing with the Next Generation and newer Star Trek and this whole business, like they don't make it for you and all this stuff, blah blah blah. I gotta say that the Next Generation is a well written show, and that's why I like it. It is so well written. There's stupid stuff in it. There's dumb stuff in it, but the characters are well written, and the show isn't. The show is woke, to use some modern terminology. The wokeness is there. It's a very woke show. They're constantly doing woke things on that show, but they're not preachy about it. That's the difference. Like
Yeah.
there's one episode where Picard has there's this kid. Okay, so there was like they find a derelict vessel from it's left over from a war, and from an old war from this alien races and it turns out that there was life forms on the ship. So they go on to the ship and they find out that there's a bunch of kids on the ship, bunch of alien kids on the ship that were using the derelict vessel to do some war training. They're being trained by these aliens. One of the kids turns out to be a human. So they bring the human onto the Enterprise. They're going to reconnect the human to the family with the family. The mom and dad have passed away. They were killed in a war. But grandma's still around. She's an admiral in that. And Picard is ready to take the kid and reunite the kid with his original family. In the meantime, the alien comes over and he's like, this is actually my adopted son. And then it becomes a big, dilemma. What do I do with the kid and all that? And the whole episode is like Picard is like, I'm reuniting him with his family. Like that's the right thing to do and all that. But and then as the kid starts to rebel against the whole thing, a light goes off in Picard's head, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't actually ask the kid like what he wants to do. He's 14 years old. He's not a complete child. He might be attached to his adopted father and all that." And then he finds out that is indeed the case, and he reunites the kid with his. But as you're watching the episode, it's like, like the situation is explained to you, and Picard makes that decision based on that situation. It's not like a blanket kind of thing that you have to do every time something like this happens or whatever. You kind of have to go in and look at each scenario individually. Everybody has different needs, different wants, and all that stuff. And the show says all that without saying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just really good writing to get your point across without hammering it into people's heads. And I think that's the difference between a show that's well written like that and a lot of the garbage that comes out today.
Yeah, I think you summed it up very nicely. Woke is woke to me is just another 4-letter word on the internet. It's just it comes across where it's preachy, exactly like you said. It's just, you don't go back to the original Star Trek, and they get a lot of comments about how it was diverse for the time.
Yeah.
There was never an instance where they said, "Look, we've got a Japanese guy flying the ship. Isn't
Yeah.
that great?"
Yeah.
He was just there.
Yeah.
He was just doing his job.
Yeah.
It's kind of the way that Aliens is commonly thought of as a fantastic action movie, and wow, isn't it great? She's a female action hero. Sigourney Weaver was great in that. They never mention anything about gender in that movie.
Right.
She's never identified by her gender. It's never an issue. The only issue is there are Marines and she's a civilian.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Just let it be. That's
Yeah.
it.
You can get your point across without hitting people over the
You
head
can
with
just
it.
accept it,
Yeah.
and that's it. I did make up for my Star Trek Generations viewing
Yes.
uh, by picking up things that you might be surprised that I didn't have. I got myself the original series on
Nice.
Blu-ray,
Nice.
and I got myself the full 6
Blu-
motion picture
On Blu-ray.
on Blu-ray. I
Nice.
had them on DVDs and stuff, or I just watch them on Netflix. But I was very happy to get this. It does have one of those
Yeah.
cases,
I
though.
have the same set. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your 6 movie collection, like, does it have
It,
which
the
version of the
captain.
motion picture? Does it have?
I imagine it's the theatrical,
Okay.
because that didn't come out on Blu-ray until fairly
A little
recently,
while
right?
ago. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this is the older one. It's got that Captain Summit thing in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I had like 3 of them on Blu-ray individually, and I just particularly 5 is the one that never really shows up. Even
Mm,
though that's kind of the dog, it's like,
yeah. Maybe
I
that's
wanted
why.
to have them all on
Yeah.
one set. Anyway, I was happy to grab those. I said I haven't watched any movies this month, and that is because I've spent all my time watching The Twilight Zone.
Oh, nice. I'm due for a
Uh,
rewatch of that.
yeah, I years ago I bought the complete DVD sets,
Hmm.
and it was one of those things like you buy it, you wait, and then you finally start watching it later on. And by the time I got like halfway through, I think I was in season 3 somewhere. I realized one of the discs didn't work. It would
Uh,
just then it was like, oh, I bought the set a long time ago, bought it
yep.
online. Like, what can I do now? So about a year or so ago, I got the Blu-ray set, and it was just sitting there, and I was like, I'm gonna watch that someday. I'm gonna sit down and watch them all. And I decided, yeah, this month I'm not gonna watch any movies. I'm just gonna watch The Twilight Zone. So I'm currently close to the end of season 2. I think I have 1 disc left, and I'm enjoying it very, very
Yeah.
much. It is surprising though, because even though it's been updated, graphically for high definition and everything, there's still a half a dozen episodes that were shot on videotape
Oh,
to
really?
like see. Yeah, in season 2, there's 6 episodes that were shot on video because it was an expensive production, and they said,
Hmm.
"Look, we got to cut costs. You're going to shoot these on video." They look terrible.
Hmm.
I mean, they
Yeah.
can't update them in any way,
No.
so they look really bad. And just like regardless, it's just the look of video and the sound.
Yeah.
It doesn't compare to some of those nice, you know, well shot on film episodes. So there's I think the ones on video aren't really the best episodes anyway. There's one that has a moment that I think is one of the scariest moments in all of the Twilight Zone, the creepiest things. I'll spoil a little bit. It's an episode called 22, where this woman she has this reoccurring dream that she's in a hospital. She follows somebody down to the basement to the morgue, and then somebody steps out of the morgue doors, and she says, "Room for one more, honey."
Oh,
and
wow.
and and it's like the actress's face and the way she delivers the line is really creepy.
Yeah.
The rest of the episode is kind of like so, but that moment gets me.
Cool. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm leaning towards that being our next show, but we might mix it up with a comedy next time. But I
Mm.
don't know. I will.
It's good stuff.
I'm forgetting too. The Next Generation on the Blu-ray. There are some episodes on there that they actually have additional footage in there, like the one where Data's on trial on whether or not he's going to be a
Measure of a man.
yeah. There's like extra scenes in there, so you might want to check out the Blu-ray if you're a fan of the show.
I am tempted. If I see it for a good price.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a costly set.
it is. Yeah. Well, I think I got it on sale. I think I went back and looked. I think I bought it back in 2017, and I'm just
Mhm.
getting to it now. But
Really? My
yeah.
goodness.
Well, I get the stuff on sale, right? And then it just sits on the shelf, and I'll get to it
Hey.
eventually. Get to it one
Yep.
day.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So so did you watch the rest of the films, or did you just watch Generation?
No, I went through the Generations ones. I had about, I'd say, less than half a year ago. My daughter and I, we watched the six originals, so they're still kind
Okay.
of fresh.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get them all on Blu-ray. I saw it pop up for a good price. So
So you haven't watched First Contact yet, or you did?
First Contact, I did, yes.
Yeah. Okay. What's
Oh yeah, yeah.
like I kind of cut you off after Generation, so I'm kind of
Oh
wondering
okay,
like what
yeah. No,
what are
I
your
did
thoughts
watch
on
the
the?
four.
Okay.
First Contact, if you didn't know anything about the next generation, you could see it as like, it's an okay, like, sci-fi action movie. Still, there's so many things that don't make sense. It's just a lot of, I don't know, like, why Data's role at the end of, is he intentionally, misleading the queen? Like, did he they're basically ready to leave the ship and everybody forgot about Data. And then it's like he whispers to Picard. But it's like, how did he hear him? They talk about at the beginning like he's hearing the voices of the Borg in his head, but they took out all the implants in the show. So it's
I
like, how
think
is he hearing them?
that whole thing I think was just to get sound clips or bits to put in the trailer to get you to go see the movie, because
Yeah,
the
sometimes they do that.
execution of that
Mm.
whole story was not great. Like it was just to get Data to say resistance is futile and his face is all messed up, and you're like, oh my god,
Kind
what's
of.
happening? I gotta go see that.
Yeah. Well, that was another moment that, well, I guess all of the films kind of suffer from that. Is they forced Brent Spiner more into focus. I mean, Data was
Well, Data was a
arguably a
popular.
very popular
Yeah.
character, but then he got billing over the other actors in the credits. They kind of made him part of the main storyline for everything. In Generations, you got to deal with him doing his silly acting when he gets the
Yeah.
emotion chip, and
Yeah. That the execution of that wasn't great.
no.
Yeah.
Insurrection is probably the most watchable. It's closest to um, actual next generation themes and morals.
The first, I think the first half
Mm.
hour of that film like
Yes,
feels
yes,
very next gen. Yeah, then it's
and
kind
then
of
it goes more. They're making action movies. That's
yeah,
what they have to do. It's always the, I have to do this by myself. It's like, no, bring the team with you.
yeah,
Send your chief of security to do some of this stuff. It's like, no, I have to be action man and often do these things. So that one, eh, on the right day, it's okay. Nemesis is another one where nothing is clear. It's just kind of like, I don't know, Tom Hardy as the Shinzon character. His doesn't really, I don't know, doesn't feel like Star Trek.
no, not at all. I think part of the reason why the original cast was able to pull off movies was the original series. I think was a little more of a they were a little more of a work family, if that makes sense. They were more of a uh, like just professional with each other.
Hmm.
Kirk, Spock, and Bones had a connection, but the rest of the crew, they were kind of just like, they adored the captain and did whatever they always had his
Hmm.
back and all that. But they were it was kind of more of a work relationship. Whereas the Next Generation, they kind of went more in depth with them being actual, you know, uh, brothers and sisters, and like you kind of see like Captain Picard was like a father figure to them, and like the Troy was like the eldest daughter, like just how they kind of took care of each other in that. And that's part of the appeal of the show. And it's not there in the films at all. A lot of it just doesn't,
No.
you know, make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, they're there, but they don't seem connected. You're right.
Yeah.
It's I mean, part of it in a film especially, you've got to cater to the story. You got to get this thing moving, and sometimes they may not have those moments to connect. I think I noticed that in one of them, I forget which, but like Jordy and Data don't say anything to each other in the entire movie. I forget
Yeah.
which one it was, but it just felt like, yeah, because in the at least in Generations, they attempted to have a little bit of that when Data, like he pushes Crusher overboard in the holodeck. He doesn't understand humor. Like he pushes her into the water, and then he's sitting there with Jordy, and he's like, "I can't understand. I think I want to put that chip in." He's like, "No, you said you don't want to do that, Data." There's that little bit of
Yeah.
a connection between them. It all goes away. Like nothing is really paid off on that afterwards. It's just he goes nuts with the chip, and then
Yeah.
yeah, that's it.
The it seems like every time they would try to do that, the movies, like the execution wasn't there. Like I think it was in Insurrection where Picard was like, I'm gonna go and take out the bad guy on my own, kind of thing. I'm
Yeah.
gonna not put
Hmm.
my ship in jeopardy, and I'm gonna do it. And then the crew kind of like sneaks behind his back and catches him before he leaves and says, "No, we're actually, we're gonna help you because that's what we do." And so then Picard starts assigning them stuff, and they're already in the outfits that they need
Yep.
for the
Yes.
assignment that Picard gives them, who he didn't
Mhm.
know, but they
Mhm.
somehow knew to dress in regular clothes. And I'm going to keep my Starfleet uniform on and all that, and because Picard's going to assign us this gig, like
Right.
it's
And that's
just
another one, you're right, where they had the trailer lines in there. It's
right.
like Data, it's like, "What do we
Lock and
do?"
load.
Data picks up the rifle, "Saddle up, lock and load."
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, no, that's not Data."
Yes, yes. They had to get people to go see those movies, I guess. They needed those lines.
Yeah. I don't know.
Man, are we a Star Trek podcast now?
It's always there in some form.
I guess. Yeah.
I can talk about Twilight Zone if you want.
Well, we did. It was. I need to rewatch it. I do.
The one thing I found interesting is
Oh, sorry.
ooh,
That's
what's
my
that?
Star Trek communicator.
Hey, that's neat. Where'd you get that?
I showed you this before. I always
Yeah, but I
have
haven't
this
seen
here.
it in a while.
I don't know. My mom got this for me. It's actually a Christmas decoration, right? Like a tree
Oh,
ornament.
okay.
That's why that thing's
Right, right,
on
right.
there. But it's tiny, but yeah, it's got all the
No,
sound
I
effects
want
in it.
one of those.
Enterprise to Captain Kirk. Come in, Captain.
Yeah, I love it.
That's fun. How would you not play with that all the time
That's
when we're
why
doing
it's
this?
here. Like I don't put it away with the Christmas decorations. It stays right here on my desk.
Oh boy. What was I saying? Yeah, Rod Serling had the same critique of the Twilight Zone that Mike Judge had of Beavis and Butthead, where they described it as a third of the episodes are really good, a third of the episodes are okay, and a third of them are terrible.
I, I can't remember any really bad episodes of Twilight Zone, but I haven't seen them all.
There aren't a lot of bad episodes, but there are some that are just weak or boring.
Okay, yeah.
There was one I just saw recently called it's something like the Odyssey of Flight 33. It's this airplane is flying. They break through some sound barrier, and they realize they're going faster than the speed of light. They're just zooming by,
That
and they
sounds
don't know
cool.
what's going. Yeah, it sounds cool, and then they dip down after a while, and they realize they've gone back through time,
Nice.
and then that's kind of it. They're just like in the cockpit of the plane most of the time, and they're just talking and talking and talking, and nothing really exciting happens. So it's like that's a fun idea, but you didn't do much with it.
Of course,
I mean,
Sauce has to bring up a Simpsons reference with the gremlin on the
yes,
bus, which is in reference to the gremlin on the airplane that William Shatner sees in that
yes,
historic
yes.
episode. Yes.
Shatner is in 2 excellent episodes,
Yeah.
by the way, of the
Yeah, he
Twilight
really
Zone.
lucked out.
Yeah, because there are a couple of other reoccurring actors that you'll see, and they seem to get not great episodes.
Mm.
Russell Johnson, who you know as the Professor from
Oh,
Gilligan's
yeah.
Island,
Okay.
bringing it back to my description of the Towering Inferno there.
Right.
He's in 2 episodes, at least 2 so far that I've seen, and they both involve time travel, and they're both so-ish. That is one thing I really like, is you see the actors who are in some of these episodes.
Yeah.
I was just had one the other night that had Burgess Meredith and Don Rickles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I think I remember that one. That one sounds familiar.
That's kind of a fun one. It's Mr. Dinkle.
Was it he was
Mr. Dinkle the Strong?
Comedian? Was it is there a comedian involved? No? Okay, never mind.
Well, no, I mean Don Rickles is in it, but he's just some guy. He's a loudmouth in a bar. He's not a
okay.
comedian. Jack Klugman did a lot of them too.
Yeah.
He was in some really good episodes.
Yeah,
Fun stuff. If you start watching it, let me know.
I will. Once I'm done with the Next Generation.
After the next couple of months that it takes you to get through the Next Generation.
I've never understood, like, some people, they just get shows and they just zip through them so fast, and it's always taken me a long time. I mean, I feel like I watch like I'll watch 2 episodes in a day, and I felt like I did a lot, but I don't know.
I don't know. You're talking to people who are part of the YouTube, the Netflix binge mentality of it's just watch it. Well, I think some people they watch them so fast they can't process them.
Well, I think too that people don't. They say they watch stuff, but I think they're like doing other stuff while the show is on.
That too. That too.
Because I watch 2 episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation in a day. I'm done. Okay, that's good. That's enough. I need to move on to something else now. I'm glad I watched them. I had good times watching them, but I don't really need to watch a third. I'm good. I think people just put them on while they're doing stuff on the computer, like they're dual screening it or whatever.
If you have it in the background while you're doing something else, you're not watching it.
Sauce is trying his best to take digs at Star Trek, but it's not.
Don't work.
I'll take Star Trek on its worst day over Star Wars on its best. I mean, the Next Generation. That is. I'm not watching Discovery or some of that crap.
Boy.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
that's about everything I have.
I think that's good. We've talked about Star Trek for like 40 minutes, so yeah, thanks everyone who was in the chat. We had Dean, and we had a Rocket Sauce, and we had myself and Retro Fandango. That's it. That's good.
It's an all-star cast right there.
Yeah. Don't know when we'll be recording again. It was a bit of a coup to get this episode together because stuff just keeps happening. But
well, yeah, I didn't mention this. Well, I guess if we do record again in about 2 weeks, if we do that, after that, I'm going on a mini vacation for the summer.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to visit my mom, so I won't be around.
Oh, Sauce says we won Game of the Month. That Papers, Please actually won. So what month is that we have to do that? That's not August, is it?
It's not August, is it? Because
Oh
I'm
my!
not going to be here.
Is it? It's September, right? Not August. We'll wait for Sauce. Right now, we have to wait for him to respond. My goodness. Jeez, I can't believe that game won. It is
lol.
August. Oh my goodness.
Hey, look at that. Lol. He made a Star Trek The Next Generation reference.
Lol, that's right. That is Spock's daughter. I did watch that
Incorrect.
episode
Not
too.
Spock. Not Spock. Not
I say
Spock.
Spock. I had Data in my head the whole time. It's funny too. Like the writers will, you watch those extras and you get the background on some of those stories, and those writers would just take ideas from people, everyday people who would write in scripts, and they would take their ideas and they would bring them in, and they would Star Trekify them, like make them make more sense for their show. But yeah, they would give them credit and everything for their idea. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, depending on when we have to record, because I don't know if I'm gonna take the time to play a game while I'm away.
Well, you know what? If you had a Steam Deck, you could get Papers, Please to run on there, and then you can just.
Well, I will
play it
be
on
bring my laptop with me, and I can of course have it there. I just don't know if I'm going to take the time, considering I would rather spend the time doing other things.
Well, you could still talk about it, I guess. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I have a little time before I leave, and it's only going to be for about 2 weeks or so. So.
Okay.
It's not a long game or anything.
It's on phones too.
I do believe you can play through. Well, at least I've gotten an ending to that game after you sit down for an hour or so.
Yeah.
You you get an ending, and then you just always try for a better one.
Yeah, like an ending that
never happens.
That doesn't end up in total catastrophe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Well, it looks like we'll be playing Papers, Please next month. So everyone tune in for that. That should be good times.
We're gonna talk about Star Trek the
That
whole episode.
We'll talk about how Papers, Please relates to Star Trek. Sauce will love it. Okay, that's enough. We did enough. Okay. I thanked everybody already, so I'm just going to end the stream right here. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Goodbye.
Goodbye, folks.
End it.